Answers and some closure in a gruesome murder mystery that's gripped the Milwaukee area for more than a week now. Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Jessa Brycebeck.
And I'm Amanda Porterfield. This morning, Maxwell Anderson was charged with murdering and dismembering 19-year-old Sade Robinson. The charges link two stories we've been covering for more than a week: the missing woman, Robinson, and body parts discovered in several locations throughout the city and county. Prosecutors now say at least two of those body parts are Sade Robinson's, and officers are looking for more of them.
We have team coverage for you tonight of this breaking news. CBS 58's Taj Mahal and Bryant McRae will have details on the investigation, but we start with Adam Reif live from Anderson's South Side home, breaking down the new information tonight. Adam.
And this home is where prosecutors say Maxwell Anderson killed Sade Robinson after the two went on a date last Monday. A few blocks away is where Anderson was taken into custody a few days later. In moments, you will see new video of that arrest in progress. Now, this case is bringing into light the story that has simmered in the shadows for days. While a concerned family was looking for a missing woman, body parts were turning up all across the city of Milwaukee. And now we have more information on why.
Sick son of a hurt my baby.
Sheena Scarborough did not hold back.
Sick son of a gonna pay.
Her hatred for Maxwell Anderson was evident from the moment her daughter's alleged killer walked into the courtroom. Prosecutors say Anderson and Sade Robinson went out to two restaurants and bars the night of April 1st, then returned to Anderson's home on South 39th Street. They say at some point that night, Anderson killed Robinson, dismembered her body, then drove her car around while he scattered the body parts in various places.
The allegations in the complaint are abhorrent. It was the highest level of violence imaginable.
Anderson also did Sade's car and lit it on fire. He spoke just once during Friday's hearing.
Do you understand the maximum potential penalties?
Yes, Your Honor.
Anderson's attorney first tried to get the homicide charge thrown out.
And there's nothing in here that says that she died at Mr. Anderson's home.
Sade's mother again lashed out.
So I'd ask you to dismiss that count before we address.
Anderson's attorney then alluded to Anderson being innocent.
Had Mr. Anderson been involved in this horrible tragedy, we would expect one to flee.
But bail was ultimately set at $5 million. Sade's family had been searching for her ever since her disappearance. Authorities used phone records, surveillance video, and home security video to close in on Anderson. He was arrested Thursday, April 4th. Friday brought some answers for the family, but also more questions.
Do something like this to my beautiful baby. She hurt nobody.
And little closure.
Me and my family would never be okay. Imagine trying to bury your niece with no body for the service.
And prosecutors say there are still missing body parts as they continue to look for all the human remains from Sade Robinson.
Then, court documents show her phone was pinged near Warnemont Park, where the severed leg was found early last week. Within the criminal complaint, authorities say the severed leg did belong to Sade Robinson. In addition to finding the severed leg, authorities say they also found a foot and human flesh, along with Sade's clothes she was wearing, which were inside her burned car. Inside the courtroom this morning, Anderson's attorney tried to get the intentional homicide charge thrown out.
I want to give all the praises and the honor to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rachah HaKodash, and double honors to the elder apostles and bishops of Great Millstone. Honors to you, brethren. Shalom also to you, supporters and helpers of the ministry. Right? That includes you sisters as well, and shalom to the elect. Anyway, I got this video sent to me, True to Tribe 69. Shared this video, and I went obviously and did more research on this topic with this Eve and what she went through. I believe the original story was that he had her in a dungeon or something like that. Let me see if I can look that up real quick. Because of the tube, I'm just not going to read the full story of the title, but it says Wisconsin, and they put black, 19-year-old, found dismembered after first date with Wisconsin man in his 30s. who had basically a dungeon in the basement. That's what they said. They had a dungeon in the basement. Now, my question is, where is Cynthiia G? Where is this woman, this Israelite woman? Channel is called Redirected, and all they have to do is bash so-called black men, right? This is all they do. Israelite men. You got the black woman on the Israelite arena discrediting so-called black Israelites. I'm going to say black so-called, but Israelites. And then you have Cynthiia G in the world of the arena of social media who is discrediting men in general. But you never see situations like this. It always seems like these particular stories are kind of swept under the rug. Maybe it's against what is being pushed. I don't know. But this man had a $5 million bail. I remember getting in trouble 20, 25 years ago, maybe, a good while ago. And they gave me almost a $300,000 bail. And it wasn't even an assault involved. Right? I'm not going to go into that. But this man was able to get a bail. Not only did he take the woman and kidnap her, because that's pretty much what it is. You know how they twist the stories and make it what they want to make it. But when you look at it, if you have a dungeon in the basement and these things happen, then, man, this is trafficking and everything else if you want to look at it like that. And he chopped her to pieces, and he still gets an opportunity for bail. That's crazy. But, they never learn. Nobody learns, man. So for the nature of the video, I won't say much, but I'm just going to read some scriptures and go on. Jeremiah 4:22. And I may still go into things as I go along. I don't know. It says, "For my people is foolish. They have not known me. They are Sodom's children, and they have none understanding. They are wise to do evil, but to do good there is no knowledge." Now, society teaches that the most dangerous people to be around is the so-called black man. That's what it teaches. And it's true to a degree, but not the most dangerous. People are dangerous in all fashions of life, right? But Eve is dangerous too. Now, we never know what was said, what happened, because Eve will get out of pocket. My thing is, and this is my personal belief, if I'm going to go, let me say, outside the nation that I am, right? Now, again, some of our people look like this man, right? But if I'm going to go outside my nation, say I'm going to go mess with a Moabite, and they don't like their own men, I don't think I'm going to take a chance with that. Because if you can't be submissive to your own men, how the hell are you supposed to be submissive to other men? But who knows? Maybe because of white Jesus, Eve has found a way to be more submissive. Maybe because it says in God we trust on that money, Eve has found herself captivated by the images of the money and of Jesus, the religion and the power, right? Let's go on to 4:30. "And when thou art spoiled, what wilt thou do? Though thou clothest thyself with crimson, though thou deckest thee with ornaments of gold, though thou rentest thy face with paintings, in vain shalt thou make thyself fair. Thy lovers will despise thee, they will seek thy life." Right? This is what we've been saying. But it seems that we have the only woman that everybody has to accept the need of them calling themselves queens. So when you psychologically tell somebody, a group of people, especially their woman, that they're all queens and they're gods, how else do you expect them to act? Right? We could say it's the black conscience. We could say it's Christianity. But what we will say is Colossians 2:8 is philosophies, vain philosophies and deception. That's what it is. And a multitude of these philosophies get construed in people, and then they become sick in the mind, and they think the world owes them. And what the scripture says, in Sirach 12:10, never trust thine enemy. That's what it says. For I have heard a voice as of a woman in travail, and the anguish as of her that bringeth forth her first child, the voice of the daughter of Zion that bewaileth herself, that spreadeth her hands and saying, Woe is me now, for my soul is wearied because of murderers. So we see a prelude of things to come, and these are small levels and instances of things to come. Again, what I'm bothered about as well, you see Israelite groups, you see these gurus, Black Conscience. They never so much talk about the Eve with the other so-called nations. It's always the so-called black man with the other nations. Nobody holds Eve accountable for doing anything amongst the other nations. Nobody. It's kind of crazy, but that seems to be what it is. That's why Eve runs rampant, right? Now, they say that we have such hate in our heart. It's a hate group. This is what they say. This woman literally said she hate this man. Now, if you're going to tell us that we should not hate at all, then you need to tell this woman that she should not be hating at all. Which proves Amos 5:15 says, hate the evil and love the good. Right? And establish judgment at the gate. That's what we're doing. We're hating evil. We're against this. We're against this whole situation in general. You've told Eve that she's God, no matter who she's with. When the baby come out, it's the black blood, which is absolutely false. Right? You might have some black blood, but it's definitely not genetics of the seed. But you've told them, don't worry, you don't need of Jake. I don't have to deal with him. I could deal with anybody because I'm such a special person and I'm a queen and all men love me. Right? This is what they've been told. This is what everybody says. And their mindset is geared toward being queens. But meanwhile, they've turned their back on their so-called kings. Right? And then they'll say, you're no good, you're dirty, you're low worth, you're broke. And this man clearly doesn't look like he's well off or he has anything going for himself. But leave it to Jesus Christ. This is why we say color matters when it comes to the Messiah. Because this is the examples you get out of it in the mindset of the psychology of what people perceive to be great. But you know what you did? You traded in Jake. You traded in the so-called black man. And then we was told, I can get anybody. Well, now you're going to start seeing situations that you will not be able to get out of, and you'll just be alone. Yeah, Kevin Samuel said that. He said, die alone. And I'm not even going to go into that arena with this video, but just listen to what I just said. Anyway, Leviticus 19:29. This mother, we're going to her now. This mother says, he's hateful, he's evil, he's wicked. You did this to my daughter. Now, mind you, she's 19 now, so she's been a grown woman for a long time. Now, in this society, you can't really look at a 13-year-old and call her grown. I know in the history of the Bible, true, because you really are. But if you're not raised, in decent and understanding of what it is to be a woman, hell, some 19-year-olds are still like little girls, right? So you can clearly see there's an issue. But who was there to guide her? Who was there to say, you know what, if you're going to take a chance, you'd be better off with a Jake or somebody that makes sense to something. And you got some of our people that look like that complexion, but not like that, as Israelites, right? It can look similar. But my whole point is the black conscious community, Cynthiia G, this woman from Redirected, certain other groups, always getting on men about white woman. But nobody gets on the woman, the black woman. Nobody. I hardly see any video on it. And that's why I'm here to do this video today, right? Leviticus 19:29. Do not prostitute thy daughter to cause her to be a whore, lest the landfall, it says lest landfall to whoredom, right, which you see has happened, and the land become full of wickedness, right? And that's what happens when this happens, right? But I'll get a little commentary on that, because that's not talking about technically sending your daughter off to go lay with men. It's really going into the worship of other idols, which then connects with the worship of wickedness and doing that with other men. Kind of like Hollyweird. It says, I'm going to read a little commentary. Do not prostitute thy daughter. This refers to be degrading worship of Ashtoreth, which prevailed in ancient times, in which times also broke out among the Jews. I'm not going to read this long one. Now, Solomon kind of did that as well with Ashtaroth and Molech, the Ammonite god, right? It goes on to say, cutting in your flesh for the dead, right? So you'll have mothers who will take their, or allow their children, or even take them as young children, and have them get these tattoos. When you do that, that's exactly what you're doing. You're putting spirits on them. Compared to the margin, it says, print any marks. Tattooing was probably practiced in ancient Egypt. So this is also a form of doing that to your daughter. And you do it to your men as well, the sons as well. We see that happening. It wasn't just the daughters, but this was just for this text. It says, as is now by the lower class of the modern Egyptians. When you go to the Egyptians, I did research on that. When you go to the mixed multitude, those are a mixture of Israelites and low-class citizen Israelites, right? Who wanted to escape, the hardships. They came with the Israelites because they figured they would have a better life with being guided under the Most High. That's why when they got to the wilderness, they did a whole lot of crying. They were the ones, the mixed multitude. And that's why they died. They were the ones who had issues with being in the wilderness, not the actual Israelites that was there. And this is what you see happening. They've sold themselves out, right? Let me go on down to this one. It says, do not prostitute thy daughter, or delaying her in the sense of Jews refers to wicked practices amongst the Phoenicians or Canaanites. Athenius speaks of those women used to prostitute themselves in the temples of their idols, right? That's what that's going into. And to such filthy services in a religious way, the Israelites in imitation of them are forbid to expose their daughters to such filthy practices under the notions of religion and committed at Babylon, Corinth, and other places, right? Lest they fall the land of whoredom, the land become full of wickedness, and wickedness of whoredom, both corporeal and spiritual fornication and idolatry, both in which would be promoted by such abominable practices, and in the process of time the land be filled with them. So these were issues with our people from day one, especially with you have your little child, you might have a daughter and everybody else get weaves. You might want to buy her weaves, right? Everybody else get tattoos. You might want to get her tattoos. She got a picture of Bruno Mars or some celebrity. She want to put it on her wall. And by the way, the grown women were doing it too. They were making busts of different gods in the time, even with David, in the time of David, when he kind of passed through and he set himself up, the woman made herself seem like David was there. I can't remember so much the story. So this is why it's nothing new. This is why you'll see the little girls today, they have pictures all around their room of idols and men that they worship. And the mother finds it healthy, right? So then when they get a husband, and this is why it doesn't work for Eve, because in their mind from day one, when they watch Cinderella and the prince, as you see in this situation, they all thought that was their God and their prince. That's what happened. So they was already, their mind was already twisted from day one. So you would never be good enough for them. And this is even why they'll marry athletes and get a divorce. Because it's stuck in their head no matter what. That face on that money, that face in the church, that face on my grandma and mom's wall, that's God. And that's why you see these situations. And these people aren't looking at them as gods. Only Brother Polite in the black phony conscious community will call them gods. Anyway, hope this lesson was edifying. That's all I have on that. Shalom.